important guidelines and how you can approach the problem effectively. The problem has
Okay.
been already shared with all the participants. So
Mhm.
make sure you stay attentive and feel free to note down all of your doubts. So we'll also have a dedicated time to address your questions as well. So let's make this session interactive and productive for everyone. So without wasting time, over to you, sir.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. So I hope everybody, am I audible to all? I don't know. How do I ask this question? Maybe they could raise their hand, maybe. So I think 87 people have joined, isn't it? Right now? All of these guys, Raj, are these people, all of these people are from your college? Are they from different colleges? How is it?
These are participants from various colleges as well as our
Okay.
college.
Uh-huh. And I assume everybody has received the document which we shared as a problem statement, which all of them are going to attempt on the day.
Yes, we have provided the document on our website so they can download it and look over it, and also the data sets that were provided as well.
Okay. So, I mean, how do you want me to begin? I mean, I can obviously give a quick brief on what the problem statement could be again, but I would really love to hear from people who have already gone through the document. And if they have any questions, if you, Raj, or anybody can moderate those questions, and I can take those questions and I can answer that. And then at the end of it, maybe after 30 minutes or so, once the questions are through, maybe I'll then talk about what Parallel Minds is and how we can do things and stuff. I mean, I don't want to waste time on what Parallel Minds is right now. We can certainly have a separate session on that, but as of now, let us focus on these kids and all their questions which they have. So I'm open for all the questions. If they've already shared to you somewhere, or if they want to raise hands and ask questions, feel free.
Yeah, they have not shared any questions yet. We had conducted this session for the same. So
Okay.
maybe you can just start off with introducing the problem and how you feel students should approach it, and then students can raise their hands and ask their doubts.
Sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably share my screen here. Okay. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So once I share my screen, okay, is the screen visible? Is the screen visible, everyone?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. So see, guys, I'm super excited about this potential collaboration with the college, and thanks to Dr. Premanand and the rest of his committee who is continuously interacting with me and our co-founders and other tech people at our organization around these topics. So among many topics which we are working on as a company, we are very focused on some niche problem statements, and we just thought maybe with this kind of a collaboration we could probably leverage the expertise and excitement and energy which all the people from third and fourth year, or I don't know which year batch these are going to be. Dr. Premanand, are these kids everybody from
Second
third?
year, third year, final year. Second year, third year, final year.
Second, third, and final year. Okay, great. So you never know. People in second, third, and final year these days probably could be so smart that they might really address the problems which we are going to talk about today. So the problem is, and one more question. All these people are from AICS background, Dr. Preman, AIML kind of background.
Yes, yes, yes. Most of the students are computer aligned branches from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we intend to do is, so we intend to build. So you need to understand, everyone. So this is a problem statement which can align into security measures which are conducted during the input and output of various objects, or rather cargo items which are moving out of country and which are received in the country. And when we say there are multiple ways where we can have checkposts, there are checkposts rather. So there could be a checkpost at an airport where the cargo is analyzed, and then the material is analyzed and the material comes in. Then there could be situation where at the shipping situation where there are stations where there are these cameras placed where the cargo is analyzed, and then based on that the rest of process of confirmation of the cargo is done and so on. So as of today, what happens is at all these stations there is already an imaging technology which is in place. Okay, now using this imaging technology, what happens is, I'm sure you many must have seen, observed on airports if you have traveled by plane by any chance. So there is a camera which and there is a machine, and then the objects, as a simple passenger, we pass those objects through that camera. There is an image which gets generated on the screen, which is a thermal come x-ray together, and then the human who is a customs officer or an officer there who is trained to identify the objects manually, and whether there are some objects which are suspicious, which are not declared, or which are something which are prohibited, maybe those are manually visually identified today. And then based on that, they pick a luggage, and then they ask who this luggage belongs to, and then there is a set of intervention which happens and so on. So as of today, so that's a technology which is kind of mature enough. There is no AI implementation as such in airports. If you have observed, it is more of a manual intervention job. Now, if we expand this problem to a cargo situation, imagine, let's say, India is importing oil or India is exporting some goods, right? So, as a process, as a step, what we have to do, there is something called as a bill of material, or there is something called as bill of lading, they call it, which we have to prepare. Somebody who is exporting, somebody who is importing, for example, they have to declare what they are going to pass through the cargo, pack in the cargo and pass through. And once the declaration is done, that letter or that kind of a copy is attached to the cargo. And at the other end, when the cargo is received, at that end, they have to, the authorities there, the officials there, they have to ensure that whatever is declared in the cargo sheet or whatever is declared in that particular list of items, they have to ensure that it is the cargo is exactly matching to whatever is declared in the document. Okay, so in this case, now just imagine amount of cargo which is passing through every now and then on the seashore, on the air shore, and other modes, right? So the problem is there is limited set of staff who can really handle that kind of volume of incoming information and incoming goods or incoming cargo. The technology is obviously human dependent. Again, you have to always ensure that the humans are trained and they are kind of scaled up to really understand how to analyze the cargo and then how to analyze the images on the cargo and so on. So there is always a continuous cost of training the staff and so on. That's the second problem. And the third problem is we always, as humans, at times might tend to ignore, or we might not be able to fully identify an object which could probably be not allowed or suspicious, but then we are, as a human, there could be some limitations in terms of how we are dealing with that data and so on, right? So there are multiple problems today. So what we intend to do is, with the solution which we are presenting in this problem statement, I understand what I'm talking is a big problem statement, but we have kind of carved out a simple basic problem statement for you guys, which then you can attempt, is the following. So as I said, agencies inspect large volume of cargo moving through ports and airports and land borders. Many consignments are scanned using X-ray images. So there is an imaging system. There is which generates X-ray images. Now, just for your information, there is a student note added at the end of document, which talks about there are data sets available, uh, which is a collection of various X-ray images for cargos. Okay, so that's data is continuously available. So at that point, there could be situation, there could be hidden goods, there could be misled cargo, there could be underdeclared items, there could be contraband or weapons and narcotics and so on. There could be so many restricted items. So the thing is, uh, the the border security, they have a list of items, so they maintain list of prohibited items somewhere. That's one master data, imagine that. They also have another input which they get is the set of images and the set of X-ray images in front of them. That is the second input they have. And the third input or third activity which they have to do is they have to look at the letter or the cargo shipment letter, which is basically collection of all the goods which are coming as a part of cargo. So there are three things. One is that letter which has got declaration of goods. Second is actual imagery of the X-ray images which are captured during the cargo being passing through the systems. That's second. And obviously third is they also have a list of all the items which are prohibited. So these are the three things. Do you have any questions so far on these three things?
If anyone has any question, they can raise their
Please
hand.
raise hands and ask a question if you have. I'm just trying to set the context so that then I can go through quickly the rest of things. Has anybody raised any hand somewhere?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'm assuming the context is set that the goods come through cargo. There is a declaration of what the cargo carries. The authorities have list of items which are prohibited, and then there are imagery, which is there is imagery which gets captured. There is a system which captures images, and then the human has to go through all three and figure out whatever is declared is actually what is there in the cargo. Again, whatever is there in the cargo, even if it is declared, but then is it really prohibited or is it allowed or not? That kind of a judgment call and visual inspection they have to do. And the third is once it is all done, then they have to approve or they have to disapprove. Okay, these are the three things which they do today. Now, what we intend to do is, instead of manual intervention, which still can continue as human in the loop mode, however, what we want is design and build an AI or a machine learning or deep learning solution that can analyze all those cargo or X-ray style images and let us help identify suspicious objects, prohibited and restricted goods, or concealed items, or anomalies or unusual image patterns. There could be, anomalies in the way the images are captured and so on. And then there could be mismatch between expected and observed cargo content. These are the five things which we need to, build a solution to identify whether there are any suspicious objects in the images and so on. The system should assist customs analysts by highlighting risky areas or objects in an image. So imagine, guys, there is an image which is, let's say, supposed to be analyzed, or set of images to be analyzed from a same cargo. Imagine that. And what we have to do is analyze those images, identify or highlight the risky areas which the algorithm thinks that these are suspicious objects. We could also, because they are X-rays, the feature of the application should be such that it also identifies whether this object is a suspicious object, whether this object is prohibited. And when I say how to identify whether it is prohibited, so imagine there is a master data which is about prohibited items, as I said, or restricted goods, as I said earlier. Now, once the algorithm identifies that this is so and so object, for example, a box, or I don't know what it could be, it could be a defense machine or something. We'll have to figure that out from the data set which I have asked you to refer to, and then look at identify that as an object, as a defense item, and then once that is uniquely identified, go and compare with the list of items which are prohibited or restricted. And if it is in that list, the system should be able to say us this is an item which is prohibited. However, this item is something as per the declaration of the cargo, right? So there are two cases. One is confirming whatever is being declared is there as cargo. The second is, even if it is declared, is that prohibited or is that restricted or is that allowed? That's the two things which you have to identify. Now, objective is very clear. Participants are expected to build a prototype, not a full-fledged system. Obviously, I understand this, that demonstrates one or more of the following capabilities. So we want to really focus on we want to evaluate you guys. How do you really apply object detection techniques? So you should be able to detect and localize the relevant cargo objects or suspicious items in images. That's item number one. Step number two is object classification even. So this is a classification problem also. One is identification detection. Second is a classification, where you classify the identified object into categories such as normal, suspicious, restricted, and prohibited. Now you need to understand that you need to kind of maintain somewhere master data of what does it mean by normal, what does it mean by suspicious, what does it mean by restricted, and what does it mean by prohibited. Okay, so you need to apply your mind and figure out, create such categorization, and then classify. Third step is image comparison, where there could be two images in the cargo, and you need to identify if there is any unusuality or differences between those images. And the fourth is anomaly, where you detect image regions or cargo patterns that do not match expected behavior. Now, when I say expected behavior, you already have a list of items which is coming under cargo. Now, those items all have corresponding images as standard images, right? X-ray images, imagine that. Now, when you receive an input image, what you need to do is compare an input image from the standard set of images and then figure out, because let's say if particular type of an item always comes in so and so pattern, suddenly if the packaging has changed, your system should be able to say, boss, the item is identified but seems like the packaging has changed, something of that sort. And then at least four items is something which we are very interested in. Risk flagging is something which we can ignore for now, to control the scope. Can you guys identify an object? Can you guys classify an object? Can you do a comparison of images? Can you do an anomaly detection? These are the four things which we have to achieve. Any questions so far? I can wait. Ask questions if you want.
Yes, Atul.
Uh, Sir, I'm not able to understand what we have to actually do in anomaly detection.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. So, as I said, you'll have to read some keywords, let's say cargo patterns, right? So if you go and study what does the cargo means and what does the lading means, and then imagine there is a set of objects which are allowed list of objects, imagine that, and how those objects are always packaged in a cargo and how they are sent out. Now that's a typical pattern of how the packaging of a particular type of an object is done. And now suddenly the same object, but then the packaging has changed, for example, then which means there is a variation. So there is something, the pattern is changing, right? So that's the example of identifying an anomaly. Am I making sense, Atul?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the use case is very simple. Identify the concealed or contraband in scanned cargo images. So there will be set of images is what our assumption is as per the data set. Detect the mismatch between declared cargo types and visible image features. Now, how do you create the declared cargo item and visible image features, right? So imagine you have this 100,000 images or 10,000 images which you are supposed to download in a college facility, right? Now, out of which create some cargo declaration documents. We might, if there is a need, we can help you to create some cargo declaration documents, but you can on your own go and search how does a cargo declaration document looks like, and on that create, let's say, item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5, and then correspondingly you have corresponding image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4, image 5. Okay, now that's how you are supposed to create some sort of a document. Now imagine there is another instance of a document which you receive as a test, and then all there are 5 items in that, and your system is expecting corresponding 5 objects to be detected, but suddenly as a cargo image, instead of the 4th object, there is, imagine, a 5th object which is not matching to the description in cargo item declaration, which means there is a mismatch. So you have to highlight, like, boss, the item is not being matching with the input document which is submitted, right?
Sir, I guess Sachal Patil has a question.
Hi, Sachin.
Sachal.
Hi sir. Hi sir. So I just wanted to know that per cargo, how many images do we need to analyze?
You can take an example of, let's say, 5 images. That should be the 5 to 10 images is fine.
Okay.
But create, I mean, when I say 5 to 10 images, in the sense 5 to 10, maybe 5 categories, and it might, each category might have, let's say 100 images per category is also fine to create an example for demonstration.
Suppose we take a cargo of, suppose example of furniture cargo. So we should take a example of like example of 5 images to analyze it, right?
5 is too little. 5 categories, I would say, so 50 images each.
50 images per cargo, you are saying?
That would kind of create some sort of a cargo, and then there will be variation, and then there would be an option for you to create some classification and so on. Simply working on 5 images won't work.
Right.
So my step 1,
This system is.
Let me help you. Hold on.
Please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me hold. So, so these are the 3 rather data sets which are made available. I mean, it's not made available, they are available publicly. Okay, my suggestion is you should work on at least cargo x-ray data set.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this data
Yeah.
set, once you download, you will get to see. What I want to see is how do you how do you do an exploratory work? So imagine you have like loads of data available to you, right? Now, what is your step one in this? So step one would be to really analyze how do I arrange this data? How do I distribute this data as a test data and my verification data and training data and so on? That could be step number one, to create kind of a model which you have to then train it with the set of data set which you have. Then you will have to obviously take a use case of object detection, take a use case of image comparison, take a use case of highlighting a risk, and so on. Correct?
Okay.
Right. We are not going to feed everything as if we cannot simply design a solution for you and get it done from you. That's not the agenda. Agenda is to identify from all those 100 200 people who are going to participate in this. We want to see and analyze how you approach this problem statement. How do you really analyze and do an exploratory work on the existing data set which we have given? How do you overcome the challenges? How do you arrange the data set for your own purpose? How do you train your machine learning model? How do you really approach and give me the use case in terms of outcomes, in terms of object detection, identification, comparison, and anomaly detection, and so on, the four items which we discussed above. And then certainly a simple interface like a web interface. Now, when I say simple, there are smart tools available today. I don't know whether you guys are aware of Codex or Claude or any of those GPT models, coding agents which you can use and generate some sort of a story to it, and then generate a front end application. It could be a simple React or a React or a Angular application in front end. You might want to write a Python library, create an AI model, expose an endpoint, create a simple web service, and a simple web interface which lets you upload a cargo set of images from a cargo, and then run an analysis and give out a response. As simple as that. However, we would be very interested in how you have trained your model, how accurate your object detection works, how accurate your anomaly detection works. Even if there is no front-end interface, I am okay with that. But can you download the entire data set? Can you really train your AI model, and can you show us the results? That's the agenda. And that is why, if you see, this is more focused on AI ML. So it is going to be very important. Guys who are super interested in actual AI ML, they would understand what does it mean by precision and recall and false positives and negatives and so on. Am I making sense? Any questions?
Sir, what will be the use case of image difference when we see difference between images? Image
So, for example,
comparison.
you are expecting an image. Let's say, for example, you are expecting an image of an object of specific type, right? And then you are receiving the same object, though, but a bit of variation. And then are you able to really identify the difference between those two objects, right? So I am, let's say, as a cargo item, I have declared a particular box, and so box image of a box is a box. But then imagine they also pushed in some additional elements to that box, or they added some more material to the box. So the way image is going to look like is going to differ from the expected type of image, right? So those kind of detection is what we are expecting. My suggestion is go through these data sets, right? At least this custom data set. Which one? Hold on. Which one is that? My suggestion is to go through cargo X-ray or PID ray or cargo X-ray. Okay, and then also study about how does a cargo really work. Go through the data set and identify. There are already, you can easily make out what type of items are there in the cargo, right? And then you can study a bit how a cargo really is supposed to be analyzed. Once you study a bit, then it's going to be better conversation than asking and answering basic questions. my expectation is that you guys need to really go and study what does it mean by cargo analysis, cargo image analysis. There is enough ample material available with GPTs. Also, there is a lot of information on YouTube. This is nothing but a simple, purely machine learning problem statement where there is a data set given, you train your model, you show me the outcomes of model, and there are those 5 use cases which we have highlighted. Study a bit, how do you really want to demonstrate those 5 use cases, and then accordingly we'll be able to evaluate you guys. We don't want to give all the inputs right away. That's the whole game, right? That's the whole fun. Go through this document and go to internet, go to GPT. Nobody stops you. We are not going to be bothered about how you have written the code. Obviously, once you copy the code from somewhere, once you generate a code from somewhere using any of the tools, you need to understand the way it is done. So when we evaluate, we're going to question each and everything how you have generated. However, we don't want to restrict you कि नहीं नहीं खुद का ही कोड लिखना है. That's not what we are saying. You can always make use full use of all GPTs, full use of all AI tools if you want to, full use of internet. We have no issues.
Yes, Tirth, you can ask question.
Sir, I had a question. Like we have to train a model from the scratch, or we can use pre-trained models that are trained on textures and objects like ResNet and MobileNet, and then train on.
You can obviously, there is no need for, nobody does that today. It would be foolish to train from scratch.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's another. See, so these are all approaches we want to look at, right? Like, how have you approached a problem? How have you had this, the challenge sorted out? You are kind of new to this world of, let's say, analyzing custom images. How did you approach this? What was so? We are interested not only in the solution, we are very much interested in the approach, the way you have approached this problem statement. And what challenges you faced, how did you apply the mind, how did you use technology, how did you use GPT, how did you use coding agent, how did you put together the solution? That is also very important, step 1. And step 2 obviously is I need to analyze your 4 use cases of identifying a suspicious object. Now when I say suspicious object, you need to create your own story on this is how I'm going to present you a use case which identifies a suspicious object, which means you certainly need to create a list of objects which are allowed and identify or mark objects which are not allowed. Now you're going to upload an image which is not allowed, and your system should show this image is not allowed, right? As simple as that. There could be a prohibited and restricted goods list, which and then there is a declaration of cargo which has got a item 1 2 3 4 5, and you have to compare the item from the list, corresponding image, and whether it lies in the prohibited or restricted goods list or not. If it lies, then it's a prohibited item. If it doesn't lie, then it's not, it's an allowed item. So you have to kind of think a bit more, become more creative, and so on. We're not going to feed you with actual use case. See, today's world, you cannot expect everything is documented and written. You have to really think through out of the box, use technology, use AI agents, use GPT, collaborate, talk to each other, express, ask questions, create whatever you want to do, and then come out with some interesting use cases. Okay?
Yes, sir, understood.
Okay. Any other questions? So you see this is what we are expecting. So short explanation of the how we are going to solve it, what the model approach you're using. It's a basic prototype. I'm not expecting a full-fledged web application, but actually it's a basic prototype. And then present all these matrices, right? Metrics of results of your model, because you guys are aspirant in AI ML, right? So it is very focused on AI ML. Once you do this is repeatable across, right? And we would certainly be interested in understanding what kind of models, what kind of algorithms you have used, what is your understanding on the algorithms, and so on.
Yes, sir, sure. Sir, I guess Nilay has a question.
Yeah, Nilay.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, can I ask that what is the accuracy you are expecting?
What do you think? What is an answer to that?
Sir, as we can use transferred learning, so I think you are expecting a higher accuracy.
Yeah, because one of somebody from you said you're going to use some sort of a transfer learning, right? So they're already pre-trained models. I don't know whether it is you're going to use any of those algorithms and so on. So you figure out, and that's the competition. Whatever team gives the best outcomes is obviously going to be the winner, isn't it? The more the accuracy, the purpose is to have more accurate results from the AI model. So training is very important. Now, whether do it ML, do you want to do a DL, do you want to do a different technique altogether? You have to figure out,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
right? You could be at times there could be a situation somebody might think, how about analyzing all these images and creating a context and setting and pushing that information to some database maybe, and then can I build a conversation interface as a customs guy and talk to this entire knowledge repository and seek some advice. Even those could be creative ways of you guys extrapolating this problem statement to become better. So we would be very interested in seeing who does what and how you do it, and can you extrapolate or can you be more creative. All those matters. This is not a traditional problem statement and simply expecting an outcome and so on. This is more of a creative test, right? This is obviously going to help you in your career paths going forward. Today's world, nobody is going to document you anything. You have to be creative, you have to be thoughtful, you have to be thinker, you have to go and study, you have to go use GPT and then come back with option 1, 2, 3 and choose the right option and then make it work. Does it make sense? Anybody, any questions? Do you guys, by the way, coordinator, did Raj, right?
Yes, sir.
Raj, how are you going to arrange the dataset for these people? The college has bandwidth. Please download the dataset and give it to them.
Yes, sir. Actually, we have also provided these data sets on our website, official website for the hackathon as well. So
No,
students
you
can.
have only provided the link, but you have to download the dataset, man.
Yes, sir.
Link
Actually,
many.
this first round is entirely an online round, so students are expected to
Go and
work
download
with
and
this.
take their efforts and so on. Yes. Okay.
Any more doubts from for anyone?
And feel free to if you think, I mean, I don't want to cut down on the scope, neither I want to assume that you cannot do it. My request would be, suggestion would be, Raj, open up a spreadsheet for everybody to contribute. Somebody might there has to be a column question, the other column could be question by. All of these 100 people participants can access that sheet. Let anybody ask questions, we can provide answers there. There could be a clarification sheet if there is a need. We will assign somebody who can go through those questions and give answers and so on. We want everybody to succeed. This is not a challenge just not to be solved. Do
Yes,
you
sir.
get that? Yes.
Yes, sir. We'll provide them with a spreadsheet and we'll also share it with you so you can answer them.
Yeah, this has to be a learning experience. This has to be a
Yes,
creative
sure.
experience. This has to be a real hackathon mode experience where at the end of it, they should feel, wow, if not the solution, at least I have learned how to approach a solution. And I'm sure there would be few teams who would generate amazing outcomes and extrapolate the solution and be more creative. Okay. I think Raj, this is it, right?
Yes. Anyone has any doubts?
I think somebody was asking, do you have GPUs in the lab, Raj?
Yeah, so this is, I guess, regarding the round two session. So in the offline round, you will have to come with your own laptops and you'll have to work on your own laptops. So that is something from our side. So if you have laptops with some good GPUs, you can work with them. I
Mm-hmm.
hope I wish you got your answer.
Yes.
Yes,
Good
maybe.
evening, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
Parthiv.
Sir, we had a doubt that what are actual expectations in the open innovation domain, like regarding even for the problem statements?
Uh, Thavi, I guess this is a general question. Actually, this orientation session is only
Yes.
regarding the problem statement provided by Parag sir from Parallel Minds company. So after we are done with this session, everyone can wait here. We can answer all the general queries as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Right.
So if anyone
And
has any doubts regarding the problem statement, you can ask it to sir right now. Otherwise, we'll provide a spreadsheet. You can ask it then while working or researching on the problem statement. And for general queries, you can wait inside the meet. We'll continue it after the session is done.
okay. And as far as before I sign off, I have shared you the link there about what Parallel Minds does and what it does and what services does it offer and what kind of work we do and so on. I invite everybody to visit the website. Can everyone please confirm whether the link is accessible to all? In the chat window, I have pasted the link. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay then? Can I leave and then you can continue, guys? And Raj, let me provide an access to the spreadsheet where everybody is invited, and let them express their questions, and we can kind of answers there, provide answers
Yes. Yes, sir. We will create a spreadsheet and we'll share it with you and the participants as well. Over to you, Ghadeka, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Parag sir. Sir has very nicely given the insight about the problem statement, and sir has very nicely explained what are their expectations. So, team members, all the teams, they have to follow the guidelines given by Parag sir, because they are the team from Parallel Minds. They are going to check the outcome of each and every team. They are going to evaluate. So,
Right. As I
yeah.
mentioned, Dr. Pranav, sorry to interrupt. As I
Uh,
mentioned, see, outcomes absolutely are must, but our job is also to figure out how creatively people are thinking, what
yeah.
technology approaches they are using, what algorithm
Yes.
knowledge they have, what is an approach they are taking, are they extrapolating the solution, and all of that. So everything counts. Everything counts.
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much, Parag sir, for your time and for nice means you have very nicely explained the problem statement and the objectives and also about the data set. Means you have given the detailed information about the problem statements. So thank you
Okay.
so much for your time.
No
Yes,
problem, sir.
yeah.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. And when is the actual event, Dr. Premanan?
Fourth and fifth. Actually, we are going to take some online demo. Also, we are going to check. Then we are going to shortlist for the finale, and the finale will be on fourth and fifth. April,
Anytime.
4th and 5th,
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday.
So from now till whatever time, please feel free, let us know, and we will align our AI engineers who can help and guide these people. Okay.
Yes,
We want,
yes,
as I
yes.
mentioned,
Yes,
we
sir.
want
Sure.
everybody to succeed. Obviously, the competition demands to select few people, eventually few teams, but then
Yeah,
we are here to help everybody because we are
yes,
also looking for this as an opportunity to interact with bright minds through your college as well as whoever
yes,
is participating for our
yes, yes.
future team acquisition.
Internship,
We are
yeah, internship and placement. Yeah, yes, yes, yes. That already I told you it's a very good opportunity for the students to get the internships as well as placement opportunity with Parallel Minds. So,
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
yes,
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
yes. Thank you, Parag
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
bye.
so much. Yes, sir. Bye, bye. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Raj and Sanskar. So,